All right, let's clear this atmosphere out because it keeps disconnecting, reconnecting, disconnecting, reconnecting. Okay, let's clear this out. So, let's clear out the energy. Let's hopefully get all the shakes out. And let us hope that the stream does go stable. If it doesn't, thankfully, I do have my iPad on standby in case it goes off again. Because, frankly, I do not want to go through a repeat of what we've gone through recently. Okay, it's staying stable. Good, 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 good. Okay. So, I'm feeling a lot more divine guidance than usual. So I'm going to pull out a little bit from the Isis Oracle, as well as our usual tarot deck and Queen Herbie for our forecast today. And thankfully, with a little update, my phone camera is working once again. So this time we'll actually be able to see the entire spread. I need to adjust the lighting a little bit here so that it's not too glowy on the top. There we go. Just like that. So it's going to be a little bit angled, but I think it'll still look pretty good. And I'm hoping that things will be a bit more stable from now on. Yeah, tech has not been cooperative recently, so I'm probably going to investigate a bit further after the stream is done to see how I can take off the restream vertical stuff, because it's clear that the vertical broadcasting is actually making my OBS setup feel a lot more unstable than it should be. And of course I gotta check my computer settings just to make sure nothing too much is running in the background, because I have a feeling that might be what's going on here. Ah, awesome! Have fun at the concert, Vern! Yeah, feel free to come back and watch this later. I mean, it's a broadcast for the week, so it's not so formal on the questioning part, so you are all good. But I'm feeling some divine guidance is warranted for this week. So I'm going to start with a little bit of the Ice Oracle, and then we will go forth with the rest of our usual stuff. And also, again, please let me know if you prefer me to shuffle on camera versus off. And I can try and make this go a little more efficient if need be, since it is a weekly forecast and all that. So first off, we're going to start with the Isis Oracle, and we're going to start with some advice from the divine, and then we will move on to our usual wonderful songs from the Queen Herbie deck and my Shadow Skips Tarot deck. So first we got Rising Sun, the Divine Solar Child Reborn. Might be better off here, actually. Maybe it's mirrored. But oh, wait, I have flashlight. What am I doing? Yeah. So, Rising Sun, the Divine Solar Child Return. So, it's referring to Horus and Osiris here. And I've pulled this maybe one other time in my personal reads, so here's what we got for this card here. I'm going to read it in full, since this is more of a broadcast scenario rather than a full-on reading. And I'm happy to say this is a very optimistic pull. A dark phase and struggle is over. A new phase is upon you, one of hope, glory, light, and triumph. It is won through boldness, persistence. Even when you felt like you're giving up, you chose to stay strong, to surrender to the divine and continue with the path. You have been through much, and now victory is upon you, beloved. For the divine solar child, a new consciousness within you is born. As we journey into the ancient feminine, there are many, many times when we meet her dark face. We must be patient, accepting, allowing. Often when we meet our difficulties of birth, literal and symbolic, we might feel great emotional or physical pain, spiritually bereft, alone and yearning for deeper union, perhaps even wondering if what you seek could be a genuine experience, or if it is the stuff of daydreams and vast fantasies. During the times of despair and struggle, we come back to our hearts, searching for faith within, searching for signs to support us as we take the long journey down the spiritual birth canal, into love and even greater expression. It might take us weeks, months, or many, many years to birth ourselves over and over again into more of our divine essence. Some birthing processes that are deeply profound will feel as though they take most, if not all, of our lifetime on this planet. At another level, many lifetimes would constitute one birth process. However, no matter how much we encounter the inner workings of the womb of the divine feminine, there are always moments of entering the light of birth into a new world, as a new being, into a reality transformed. These moments are precious and herald the beginning of a new level of divinity expressed, often in deeply creative new ways. The divine solar child being born brings new life into your life, likely to express itself in multiple forms. Revived and new relationships, new inspiration and opportunities in your work and spiritual life, more love and enjoyment, new or more energized community, greater well-being and experience in your body, creative capabilities you didn't even realize you had opening up effortlessly as you surrender to allow the body and creative faculty to flow. These are some of the gifts that are given to you by the universe at the cosmic baby shower for the birth of the divine solar child. The sweetness of the gifts of this new life make all that came before it so sacred and worthwhile. To honor and accept the past, and the courage it required of us, and yet to accept that it is now time to turn our face to the light and partake of the fruits of our inner labors is what Oracle ordains. Symbolized by the headdress of cow horns with the golden disc within, worn by Egyptian goddesses, including Isis, and the symbolism of Isis nursing her divine son child Horus in her breast. The Oracle of the Rising Sun brings with it a new day, dawn, breakthrough, end of struggle, and a genuine and stable birth of optimism and hope for you now. And I'm really relating to this imagery, especially. I actually wrote, one of the first papers I wrote when I went through grad school was about the lactans imagery of the Virgin Mary and Jesus with Isis and Horus, actually. It was really interesting to talk about the similarities and the differences about how these images were represented in their mythologies and even the way that it's integrated into their respective spiritualities. And I'm especially relating to this meaning of this card especially because I feel like me being on this channel, getting a little more personal here, me being on this channel and doing this every week, I feel like it's been a gigantic breakthrough in my life because up until this point, I feel like as if I was here very much on this sense of having to do certain skills or things that I enjoyed out of the sense of capital validity. In other words, how much I could monetize or have this massive social capital off of the skills that I talk about and display. And I often didn't count my card readings as one of those because it was very much, at first, I did it very much out of an altruistic lens. I often felt like, especially if I monetized my skills, that I would be, in essence, cursing them. That because it was from survival, not from altruistic means. And it was kind of looked upon in some ways as this it was like this toxic need, so to speak. It was, in essence, I was scared of being greedy with my skills. I was scared of being arrogant and greedy, that I had this false sense of superiority by monetizing and sharing these skills in this way. And I felt like if I were to do these skills publicly in the way that I do them now, that it had to be through this super quiet, moves in silence, word of mouth, where I didn't say a word about my skills. So my skills became advertised naturally. Like, in other words, basically what I do now, but on a much quieter scale. That my reputation was based on word of mouth rather than advertising, and thus I knew that I preserved the purity of the spiritual practice if I didn't monetize my tarot reading skills. That was like the thing that I kind of ran. And I felt like the moment I monetized, that's when my readings were going to be bad. That's when people were going to start turning away, calling me a charlatan, etc. But what was actually happening was that I was putting a cap to my capacity to receive. I was putting a cap on the possibilities that I could have presented before me in terms of pleasure and excitement and joy and most importantly opportunities. That way I could actually experience the abundance that I've always had seen for myself. I mean, granted, right now I'm still kind of far from it, but I feel like ever since I started opening up my skills in a more public fashion like this through streaming, my world has changed very dramatically. I mean, all of my spiritual teachers have kind of said as much, like, it's time for you to come out of the spiritual closet. It's time for you to put your skills out there. Your skills are meant to be shared. And it was very much this toxic humility that I was carrying these skills in. And I'm feeling like, at least in terms of me personally, like in terms of me pulling this, I feel like it's been a sign for me that I think whatever spell or whatever experience I was feeling with keeping so quiet and so silent about my skills, it's broken whatever spell I put upon myself or whatever spell that society has put on me to keep quiet. I mean, not that I don't remain quiet now. I don't brag about this stuff in my offline life. I talk about my Twitch. I focus more on the gaming side actually when it comes to my real world stuff. And then maybe the most I talk about it is probably through whatever inner circles I know personally, or on the Discord server that I've created a while back. And so opening up like this was a very, very foreign idea. Be proud of whatever intuition, whatever skills, whatever talents you have in this moment. Don't hide it under a bushel. Like, a lot of skills are actually more so meant to be shared than hidden. And so I extend an invitation to you as well. I even talked about it a little bit yesterday. A little bit with one scene. Not going to spoil it too much, but in particular, when did you last see the sun shine? When was the last time you felt free? When was the last time you allowed yourself to really embrace pleasure? And not because somebody else invited you to. Hmm? Sound disappeared. Hold on. Um, Hyun, are you muted? Because I'm still seeing sound going. Yeah, Hyun, are you muted? Because, I mean, I'm sure the sound's still going. Okay. I'm going to play it back later. Yeah, I think we need more of this. Hold on. Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but my mic was showing that it was still functioning, so I don't know. But anyways, as I was saying earlier, I feel like a lot of the messages that I've been getting, especially with this card coming up, I feel like the biggest thing that is coming up is attuning back to what your pleasure is. And when's the last time you actually allowed yourself to feel it? And actually just receive it? Because I feel like what we're experiencing right now is a significant imbalance. Because there's been a hyper focus on production and not as much equal worth as receptivity of said labor. Because production ultimately becomes waste if we don't have ways that we could use our gifts fully. I mean, in case in point, look what's happening with our planet. We have so many resources, we have an overabundance of them, but the distribution is just not where it should be. And I'm not talking about it just even in the physical context. I feel like even emotionally, spiritually, we have held up so much in our systems when there's so much that needs to be shared. And so, extending it beyond my own story, when's the last time you felt that pleasure? And it's not just in terms of somebody else remarking on it first. I mean, genuinely, when did you feel like you could ask for it first? That feels like the theme of this week. It's like, allow yourself to actually lead with a question, to lead with a request, to be able to ask for the things that you've desperately needed. This is to myself as well. Keep that in mind. But the biggest thing is to allow yourself to want the things you want and ask for them accordingly. I mean, there's a biblical verse, I think, or at least a common saying among Catholics, a group Catholic, where help comes to those who ask for it. God helps those who want to help themselves, and especially who want to ask for the help. And simultaneously, I feel like there's also this toxic humility sometimes pops up, where asking feels more like demanding rather than a genuine assistance. When there's a call in multiple theologies that we need to help and love our neighbors, especially those who have been marginalized by the societies that we live in. That includes atheists, that includes the LGBT plus community, that includes people of color, that includes displaced peoples, that includes refugees. Anybody who needs a little extra leg up, it's our duty to make sure they are on even keel. So, and that includes you yourself. Allow yourself to experience the joys, because that joy is coming to you in dividends this week. So, allow yourself to thrive through that. So, let's go ahead and go back to our days of the week. So we got our 5 cards here. So, Monday, we've got the Queen of Wands. Let me get where'd my flashlight go? My flashlight disappeared. No. No. Okay. Oh, there it is. Just blended into my vitamin drops. So, first card is the Queen of Wands. So, the Queen of Wands, it is very much about mastery of your craft and mastery of skills. And considering with this card, it's about the birthing of new skill. The birthing of new skill, the allowance of blessings to come into your life. It is important that you are remaining open to whatever gifts, whatever interests and passions you have, to allow it to come to you, and most importantly, embrace them. There are some things you do not have to deny anymore. And let me in terms of our textbook definition here, I like to call it textbook definition because it means it's the book. It's about dedication, being engaging and attractive, always cheerful and upbeat. Her presence exudes confidence, and she can handle anything and anyone. This is a call for you to start reclaiming your power through your passions and your skills. Embrace the things that make you you. And remember that you contain multitudes. You contain multitudes, so embrace those multitudes within you, and especially through your skills. So Tuesday, we have the 10 of Cups. So, a focus on emotional harmony and completion and sustenance, especially when it comes to community, when it comes to the people that get you. There is you and I in community. So don't be afraid to reach out to the people that can help. Because in ancient times, a lot of us, people who do trades like this is technically a trade of some sort, albeit very unconventional, at least in today's era. Back then, not so much, but nowadays, kind of unconventional. But back then, neighbors would help each other. I mean, even now, when it comes to like middle, lower classes, we'd help each other with resources. We would just gather what we could, we'd assemble together what we could, and make entire meals that we just distribute to the entire community that needed some extra help. And even though, yes, there was a class division, there was still the sense of mutual benefit. And this is the part that I'm happy about, that this mutual benefit thought, consciousness is starting to come back. And so on Tuesday, on 10 of Cups, it is a focus on attaining that sense of connection, attaining that sense of peace. Because this improvement, I mean, yeah, sometimes we can get very comfortable with our company, and it's okay to get used to your own company. But also, it sometimes also helps to balance it with being able to be in interface with other people as well, as scary as it can be. But ultimately, there's a part of us that's still very social. Some of the images that we have of ourselves are kind of, like it or not, they are based on external messaging and circumstances. And ultimately, there's nothing wrong with that. The biggest thing is how we use that external validation to move towards our lives. That's the big thing that we have to keep in mind here, is how do we navigate that external validation? And so whatever joy, whatever contentment that you manage to achieve during this week, allow yourself to celebrate it. You do not have to worship in the cult of suffering. I know there's the Buddhist philosophy of life is suffering, and the belief is the Eightfold Path. And yet, you do not have to, again, see enjoyment of something as inauthentic. Elisa Liu even proved that with the way she skated during the Olympics. So, obviously you don't have to go as extreme as she did, where she went on all these journeys and stuff. You don't have to go that far. But embracing the joy, embracing the excitement that you have on certain things, allow yourself to do that. Even if it ends up not being your career, let yourself have fun. Let yourself experience that contentment, that safety. And for those, I mean, I've been coming across this comment pretty recently a lot, both in terms of like my group therapy sessions. I'm not a therapist and not a mental health expert, so let me preface that. But I come across this a lot in both like my Discord server and even like therapy groups I've been to, where they're like, I've never experienced this in my youth or my adolescence, so what am I supposed to gauge this sense of safety from, this sense of curiosity from? You don't have to go complicated with this either. Start with, like, if you had something that you've always wanted to explore, but you weren't permitted to when you were younger, start now. This was me with these cards. I mean, I gotten readings in the past, but being a practitioner, I wasn't able to really explore it until I was 19 years old. So, and I really didn't really fully dive in to like my in-depth studies, like the stuff that I know now, probably till like maybe my early mid-20s. And I'm still learning, by the way. I'm still learning the scale of where my skills reach and where my limits are. Like what I can practice into versus what my genuine ability limits, for one, and then especially my ethical limits for another. My ethical limits were astronomical before. I'd say they've reduced a little bit, but they're still to a very high protective standard. Not only for me, but especially for my clients. Because I care about you guys, genuinely. I do not want to rob you of your free will, of your decision making, and your experiences. Because there are some things that you got to experience in some way, shape, or form that might be unpleasant, but very necessary. And then there are other times where it's like, we can avoid that mess entirely. We can avoid that mess entirely. Let me help you how you can avoid that mess entirely. But ultimately, I want to give your power back to you, not usurp your authority. So that's what I really want to call on with this, is remembering your joy, for you to remember your skills and your joy and call those back into your life. I mean, it's the universe's gift to you. This is their gift to you. It is those new opportunities to bring these passions back. It's being birthed this week, so embrace it. So getting back to the days of the week, Wednesday. Love this card so much, and it's certainly part of my namesake. The Star. It's one of my favorite cards in this deck. The Star, for me, it's that song that they always play at the beginning of the Walt Disney logo from Pinocchio. When you wish upon a star, makes no difference who you are. Everything your heart desires, your wish come true, will come to you. Your dreams come true. That one. I love that song. I mean, I still haven't watched like Pinocchio in full, but that song, When You Wish Upon a Star, actually makes a difference who you are. The theme, even my personal life, the theme for this week is persistence. Because especially if you've been going through circumstances where everyone's been saying to you, or like a lot of people have been saying to you, like, this ain't realistic. Not to you, you unwhipsical person. Come on. Yeah, like, especially if you come across things where, like, it's not realistic, or you come across times where you might get messaging of, it might feel like as if like you're going through experiences where you feel tempted to snap back to old, unhelpful habits or thought patterns that have kept you safe for so long, but it's ultimately not helpful for the next chapter you want to go down. This card is a reminder that you do not have to sink into those old patterns. You do not have to go back there. You can take a different route. You can do something different. And so, this is an invitation for you to start having faith. To start having faith in your dreams again. Especially when they feel impossible. Like, even though now I'm 33 years old, the odds are pretty good I probably won't be a big Broadway star or a Hollywood actress at any point. So what? The dream is still alive. I may not be able to go the route that most young people tend to go. But the beautiful thing is, I don't have to. I don't have to. If I decide to go for it later, fingers crossed, by that point, I'll have more resources and more skills under my belt that ultimately, when I start, the timing I start wouldn't even matter. I mean, Taika Waititi was 30 when he started directing. And he's in Hollywood. So, I say, age, and by extension, time, is a construct. So, if you'd had something that you have held onto in your heart for so long, don't give up on it. And especially, don't be afraid to take another route or to let the dream sometimes. I know sometimes if it's more of a social endorsement, don't be afraid to let the dream go through a bit of a metamorphosis to something that's more beneficial to you as well. Because it may not be what you expected to go down, but you still might find something just as fulfilling. And please, for the love that all is holy, do not beat yourself up if it ends up looking different than what you originally expected or paid for. Please don't beat yourself up. Especially for those who are paving a new path in this era of internet and AI. This is something that this current society has no precedent for. We are paving a new path here. A new frontier. Beyond time, beyond space, we are paving a new path. So, it's especially important to be persistent in the things that mean a lot to you. Back but out of sync? Okay. That is really odd, because, like, it's looking in sync from my OBS end, but I don't know what's going on. I really don't know what's going on. I'm having so many tech snafus today. But yeah, long story short, if you got something you've been hanging on to for a long time, it's okay, A, to let it fly, B, trust yourself in the execution, and C, however it's going to manifest for you, you're going to do well at it. You're going to do well at it. That's a sure thing. Okay, last 2 days here, and then we'll do our Queen Herbie deck here. So, Thursday. Ooh, okay. So, we got the High Priestess here. So, the High Priestess, especially in how they illustrate it in this deck, it's a bridge between the liminal spaces of the sacred and the mundane. I especially tend to get like the Greek pantheon with this one, especially Athena and Persephone are the two deities I tend to get from this, between the pomegranate that the High Priestess is holding and the owl in the bottom. And so this week, with your dreams that you have reignited in the early half of the week, and with the blessings from the divine, you are going to learn how to bridge these ideas and bring them forth into the material plane. You are going to learn how to realize them, to bridge the gap between the sacred and the reality, the sacred and the profane. That's what really struck out at me. And I'm thinking of the film Sinners again. I highly recommend watching that movie if you have not done so. Most have talked about the social commentary, especially since it takes place during like Prohibition and Jim Crow. But I got more of the theological aspect of that. I mean, it especially shows in the title of the movie. I mean, it's literally called Sinners. Because the things that the film considers sacred are not the things that the world would consider sacred. And vice versa. The things that we consider freeing, or like society would consider freeing, was more of a prison for these characters, if you think about it. It was very much a survival mechanism. And especially the vampirism that's portrayed in this movie. That's one way of looking at it. It's assimilation. Doing these things just to be liked, to toe the line, to be safe. But it's not truly living. It's lying to us. It disguises itself as, can't we all just get along? But in reality, it is literally and metaphorically sucking our souls dry. So I am feeling this week, with the blessing of the divine solar child, and with these skills and the wishes that you are re-invoking this week, the call for you in this High Priestess is to stop blending in just to be liked. To stop silencing yourself just to blend into the crowd. As much as you like it. As much as you like the community. One of my friends said it best. I mean, she talks about it in relation to dating, but I feel like it even comes up in our friendships and our family relationships as well, but especially friendships. And the luckiest thing is, at least with friendships, I feel like there's a lot more leeway in terms of what we can get away with compared to romantic relationships, is that ultimately, if we don't allow ourselves to express our multitudes, we're basing our connection on a big, gigantic lie. It's a big lie we're basing the connection on, and it sucks. And so, the High Priestess is a call for you to go back to your roots, go back to the basics, go back to what makes you you, and to tap into your embodied knowledge, not just the cerebral stuff, like what you live by and what you stand for. And you do not even have to stick to the same things that you started out with when you were like 6, 15, 25, 32, 45, etc. You don't have to stick with the same things. You have the opportunity to evolve, to change your perspective. I've changed my perspective, even though I've been doing my best to be as progressive as I can. There are some stances that I have taken on that have evolved significantly over the years. Especially with these recent conflicts, they have evolved significantly over the past year, year and a half. And two constants in the human species. It's love and change. We try to talk about it being so set, once we're 25, once we're 30, etc. No, I think even science has even proven that there's not really a set point to change. There's not a set point to change. So, if you want to change something, it is never too late. The only time that it is too late is if you are reuniting with the divine or reincarnating. Okay, if you're 6 feet under. If you're still here, if you're still on this earth, it's never too late to change. So finally, Friday, with that, we got the Knight of Swords. Got this nice Ibis on here, giving a bit of a Thoth, Toth, Tahuti vibe here. There are a lot of Egyptian and Greek, Greco-Roman deities coming up in my brain recently. The Knight of Swords. This weekend, this upcoming weekend, I mean, not this weekend, but this upcoming weekend, is a call for you to defend what it is that you believe in. To defend what is precious to you. To protect this new growth. These first 4 things, these first 4 days of this working week, well, first 4 days, like the majority of this week, it is building up a foundation to reestablish the connection to your inner child, to your inner dreamer, to your imagination, to your passions. This is reconnecting towards that. And then these last 2 days, especially Thursday and Friday, it is a call for you to start turning those ideas into actions. Because, I mean, even inaction is an action. Keep that in mind. But these two in particular are about taking a stand towards protecting this precious foundation that you have reestablished here. High Priestess, the bridge, the liminal bridge between the sacred and the material reality we have here now. Knight of Swords, protecting everything you've built up until this point. Keeping that together. And in a way, because you're building a new foundation that has no precedent, you're also leaping into the unknown. There's going to be a lot of pressures to keep it safe, to play it safe, to keep it simple, to go for something more predictable nowadays. Because, well, let's be for real, even the so-called safe paths of STEM, doctor, lawyer, engineer, even those are coming into question now. And those used to be guaranteed before. And now, I mean, most of us had known since COVID, or even before COVID, that there's a lot of instability. There's a lot of change going on. Like, it's our natural dynamic. Our natural dynamic is change. And so, sometimes, you gotta go like carpe diem and rush headlong into that adventure and see what happens. Asking for forgiveness rather than permission. And also simultaneously, maybe take a few notes of what you observed along the way. So that way, if you have to retrace your steps, you at least know where you're going. And also, if somebody else happens to go down this newly paved or newly explored path, there are some pitfalls that they can avoid. And then maybe you yourself can avoid repeating them as well. Yeah, this is a pretty powerful reading. It's very much a reestablishment of self-trust and trust in the connections with other people. Excuse me. So I'm going to pull out a couple of songs here. I'm feeling. All Hail the Queen. Oops. That was a clean pluck. I feel one more. Oh, nope. Okay. Ooh, okay. Alright, let's see what the two we got. We got a lot of Hummingbird House stuff lately, so let's see what we got this time. Alright, so first song we got for you. I've pulled this one before. Balenciaga Dreams. Drops of Pearls and Velvet Trees. So, getting back to the pleasure aspect. I know especially when it comes to more patriarchal-based theologies, there tends to be a bit of a talking down when it comes to material worth and pleasure. And I say, we're in a physical world. They exist, like, these things exist for a reason. And I say, as long as you are not harming yourself, others, or the planet, it's okay to enjoy them. Eat that cake, get that bag, go for that trip. Which is kind of funny. It's another Hummingbird House. Hummingbird House song, which talks about creativity and expression. Kind of funny. Got another one of those. The bigger thing is allowing yourself to enjoy these things, experience the pleasure in its in your authenticity. As fellow card reader on YouTube, Chloe Taylor always says, when you stand in your own authenticity, you allow other people to do the same. And so, yeah, granted, it's very much like a brand names kind of bragging here with this song, but what's underneath it is a genuine sense of wanting to enjoy life through luxury and abundance. And I'm not talking about in terms of like stereotypical out of touch wealth. It's being in the moment. And especially being authentic, not just putting up a front. I mean, there's fronts who put on for protection, but it's not talking about that. It's talking about like being in that moment, enjoying the good things. Because you can. Not because there has to be some elaborate reason to do so. And the other song that we got for you, our final pull, is... Oh my god! It's my song. It's my song. This song I've been listening to a lot. I always listen to it before, I imagine, listening to it before, talent shows and stuff. It's called Gorgeous. Like, that whole EP, Housewife, is a really good one. But this song especially, this one always hits me. Guess it's time that I come out of the spaces I've been hiding in. Not been warmed up, so it's not as rich as it could be. That is the blue. That is Koi House, which is what I sorted into. Healing and grounding. And this week also, I especially recommend listening to Gorgeous if you haven't. I think I've pulled it out at least in December. I remember I pulled this card for you. But dang, these motorcycles are loud. There we go. I feel like especially if you've had this, it really connects to what I just pulled here. Hold on. Especially if you've been having doubts as to whether you can pull the dreams you've always held in your heart. Especially if you feel like as if you can't pull them off. Your mind's lying to you. It's lying. It's lying. It's playing safe. You absolutely can do it. The toughest part is stripping off the naysayers. And the biggest thing that you can do for yourself is not only allow yourself to come out of your shell, the protective shell that you've had to go under for so long, but also remember your worth as a child of the divine. Remember your worth as a child of the divine. Because your worth is inherent. Bad experiences, societal messages, even as well-intentioned as some are, even our families sometimes can make as if that there's conditions to that worth. No, there isn't. There isn't that. It can feel as if, especially when you become an adult or become a grown-up, wherever you feel yourself to be right now, that we have to somehow shut down this very fun-loving part of ourselves, or this very exuberant side of ourselves. No, we don't. In fact, you shouldn't. Embrace it. Embrace that exuberant side of yourself. I don't know if it's still up on Netflix, but I just thought about this movie starring Samuel L. Jackson and Brie Larson. Not Captain Marvel, though. Not that movie, though. That one's pretty entertaining, kind of. But this movie called Unicorn Store, actually, is a pretty good metaphor for this. I highly recommend Unicorn Store. Let me write down these two songs real quick, and then I'll talk about Unicorn Store a little bit. Okay. Unicorn Store. Brie Larson's character wants a unicorn in her backyard. And I think she works as like a janitor / consultant for an office building. And there's let me see. She works as a consultant / janitor at this office building. She's been bouncing from job to job to try and get this dream that everybody else seems impossible to come true. And in order to be able to get that dream of a unicorn to come true, she had to embrace her whimsical side. And there's this one scene, I'm not telling you when this happens, by the way, but there's one scene that I remember distinctly that she and a couple of her coworkers slash friends come together in these super whimsical and super colorful suits and outfits to pitch a new idea to this company. And it's just like one of the most colorful and the most happy scenes. It's like, it feels random when it's in there, but like it's one of the most happiest scenes I had ever seen. Hmm. You know, you could also duplicate it. To answer your question, Hyun, like you could duplicate it so we don't have to redo the whole thing. Just an idea. If it's too much, I totally understand. But anyway, getting back to Unicorn Store and the metaphor of that story, embracing whimsy was what it's like copying it's like copying or duplicating the layer essentially. That's what I'm talking about. I don't know how it does in Clip Studio Paint, but I know at least with like other drawing softwares you can do that. But anyway, let me get back to what I'm talking about here with Unicorn Store and the theme of this reading overall. But the point is, embracing whimsy was what ultimately made her unicorn dream come true. Made Brie Larson's unicorn dream come true. Now, what happens in the film, I'm not going to tell you. Go ahead and watch it yourself if you're curious. But the evolution from being stuck in this almost corporate drone mindset to being like embodying the colorful unicorn energy herself. That's what I feel like this reading is calling for you today with this week, because you are getting gifted a new chance, new opportunities to embrace the blessings that are coming to you. And this is the roadmap as to how you can finally bring those dreams to fruition. Because even though the society may be like showing about like suggestions about like ghost jobs and conflicts and all these different things, within all those disputes and chaos, there is a revolution, an evolution happening. And this is a chance for you to embrace it and step forward. This is a chance for you to be a cycle breaker, not only for yourself, but for the people coming ahead of you. You do not have to follow the path of dissatisfaction, of forsaking interests for the sake of the greater good. I think, if anything, the greater good is much better if you embrace the gifts that you've got right in front of you. Right? So embrace them. That's what I got for you for this reading. But this is a pretty, like, honestly, out of all the readings I've pulled, this is the one that I relate to the most, surprisingly. Because I have been releasing a lot in terms of like toxic humility and coming out of this cage of shame. And there have been so many times, so many times where it sometimes feels like I have to just go back to this old mode of keeping my mouth closed and just moving in the shadows, essentially. Like, there were times where I've been feeling that, especially off camera. But these cards I pulled here, they're saying, yeah, no more of that. No more shoving yourself back down into a box. Since it's been, since we're about to end the first quarter of the year pretty soon. Maybe I'll do it maybe either this week or next week. I'll talk about my experience that happened last month at Between the Worlds / Sacred Space, because that was one of the most profound experiences that I'm still digesting even now. It's been like, at this point I think it's been like an entire month since then, but there's a lot that I'm still processing from that event. And I'm also going to take Donna's call of the Tuatha De Danann, like the Queen of Tuatha De Danann that I pulled last night. I feel like that's a teachable moment for you guys as well that I really need to share with you. And so it feels like I need to embrace my urge to tell stories, even if it's in a non-traditional sense, to teach my knowledge, even if it's not from, okay, here's the paper, here's the grade, etc. Like that kind of system. Excuse me. But yeah, so much I want to share with you. And I feel like it's getting to the time where I can actually talk about it. I didn't vlog my first time going. I kind of wish I did a little bit, but I was so overwhelmed by like how much knowledge I was getting from this thing that I just... And plus, I mean, it's a very spiritually centered event. There's some people who are not as open as compared to what I am. I mean, I'm kind of semi-open. Not completely, but semi-open. I mean, then again, as open, at least as open as you get when it comes to the internet. But yeah, not exactly a completely open book per se. When it comes to my everyday life, it's like the most. I mean, especially with my platform being so small right now, at 79 going on 80 people, at least on Twitch. Don't know about YouTube, but at least on Twitch, not very big in terms of like people making a career out of this thing, but still. Long story short, wanted to protect people's desire to be anonymous or remain in the spiritual closet, still figure out themselves. So I'm going to focus mainly on my experience, but there's some things that I feel ready to talk about with you guys. That I think it's important that you know. It's important that you learn, and I can talk about it with you. I was thinking about like doing it filming, but I think just talking about it like this would be the best way to go about it. So yeah, long story short, expect some interesting stories during the State of the Dojo coming up later this month. And also a bit of a heads up as well, my Wednesday stream will be happening probably earlier in the day. Hopefully earlier in the day. Because I have a meeting on Wednesday night, when I usually stream. So just want to give you a heads up in case you're like, huh? Why are you starting early? Well, it's because, I got something to do that night. And that's the other thing I gotta let you know as well. I've been increasing my streams quite a bit to the point where I've been doing 5 days a week, Wednesday through Sunday. But considering that I've been looking at possibly doing, like, switching jobs at some point, I may have to start dialing back, not only to make it easy to adjust to a new position, but also prevent the moments that happened like a couple weeks ago where I missed an outing with friends. So I want to prevent more moments from that happening and be able to participate through life. Because I mean, it kind of defeats the purpose of why I started this in the first place. If my only life is through the computer screen, which I know it's a huge privilege that I could even say that, but it is what it is. But anyway, all of that, it's going to be updated further down the line. I made this go a little bit too long, but thank you so much for tuning in to today's Oracle Forecast. Hope you all have a really nice night. So, I think the odds are pretty good. I might not continue Dundara Trials of Fear Edition tonight. I think I'll resume it on Wednesday. I'm hoping that I can at least fix what's going on with my OBS by then, between all the random disconnects that I've been having and just all the tech problems, hoping to fix all those things. I don't know what's going on. Hopefully we'll be able to fix all that before the next stream. And due to the cap on Destiny 1, I am not going to be able to continue it until I either get a PS Plus membership or get some expansion, or get the expansions, whatever comes first. So it'll probably be Jak and Daxter: The Precursor Legacy, and probably the Fatal Frame first game, and Sonic Adventure and or Sonic Mania Plus. It's been a little bit since I played both of those, so be gentle with me. I might not be as good as I usually am with those. So, turns ways you can contribute to your community. World Central Kitchen and Red Cross, 2 great organizations when it comes to international aid. And then here are our charities of the seasons that we've had so far. So in Yuletide, it was Sad Girls Club, which helps with persons of color to be able to access free and affordable mental health care. As of this year, thankfully, they resumed their group therapy sessions, but it will probably need a bit more funding to be able to return it back to the old schedule, which is like weekly. So any help you can give in terms of that would be really awesome. Then last season, we had Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, which is supporting current and future Black politicians in the United States. And for this charity of this season, since we have rotated to a new season, the Wheel of the Year, this season it is Foundation for Women's Health, since it is Women's History Month. And especially considering Ostara and Beltana both involve goddesses. This one involving Eostre, the latter representing Beltana, representing Brigid, but essentially, especially with Lupita Nyong'o's recent founding of a foundation that will help towards getting more humane fibroid treatments for women in AFABs. I feel like it's a very important mission because it's a very common condition that needs to be resolved ASAP, people to have more options and more expanded lives. So if you want to find out more information about that, as well as other things that the Foundation for Women's Health covers, visit foundationwomen'shealth.org for more information. Finally, this is where you can find me outside of this channel. I tend to back up my stuff on YouTube, so in case you've had problems on Twitch, you can just watch the whole thing on my YouTube channel, DJ MK Off the Air. Theological Otaku, my second channel, so my Vimeo channel, is where I am planning on doing vlogs on there, or like long form content. I do have some on my first YouTube channel, but I feel like now, considering this is very much a gaming slash live stream channel, I'm feeling like Theological Otaku might be the better space for me to like focus more on the long form stuff, so keep an eye out for videos on there. I also have an article on Substack that I'm doing pretty soon on my site called The Third Nerd, so thirdnerd.substack.com, which is the article about sinners and K-pop demon hunters I've been working on for quite a while. I am feeling so much like Ava DuVernay when she talks about this one article that she was trying to do, and then so many things in the zeitgeist occurred, and then end up being much longer and longer and longer after a while. So I'm feeling that so much. And I have a coffee page Ko-fi.com/Tonders, where you can donate or shop if you like. Shout out to all the people who have shopped in my shop recently. I'm going to be starting on your commissions tomorrow, so you should be getting things downloaded pretty soon. And the code is good until the end of tonight. So if you want to shop something on my site, now's the time to do so. If you use the code Shamrock, you'll get 25% off the purchase. I don't know if it's per item or overall purchase, but regardless, use that code, you get a discount. Finally, this episode was filmed in the lands of the Nanticoke and Lenni Lenape indigenous peoples. To learn more about whose indigenous lands you're living on, especially if you want to contribute to the project, visit native-land.ca. And with that, glad you managed to fix the brain issue. But with that, thank you so much. This is the end of the video. I don't know if I could try for a raid at this point, because my setup is just blowing up every few seconds. But thank you so much for tuning in to my streams every time, especially those who have had super long streaks. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. Again, happy spring, happy fall to those in the Southern Hemisphere, and as always, may your heart be your guiding key. Till the next stream, I'll see you later. Bye, everybody.